I build and I build and I keep on building. It's to the point where it's like I'm running out of space, I'm running out of room, okay? But like I said, I do the same house, but different styles, different looks, okay? That's how I love my plan. And I was inspired by the Chicago of, I think, 1895 or 1893. I think 1895, the World's Fair. What you guys don't know about that is that when they built it, and this really pissed me off about the World's Fair of 1895 in Chicago. The World's Fair was for you to come, show off your work. They would have different countries from around the world that would show off their technology at that time. At that time, the light bulb wasn't really what it was. People were using gas lamps and gas lighting. They wasn't using electricity then. Thank God for that right there, okay? They wasn't using it then. So thank God for Lewis Latimer. Oh, y'all, look, it fell. But I'm going to repair that. I really got to be careful, though. But thank God for Lewis Latimer and his great creativity. He invented the filament that goes inside of that light bulb, not Thomas Edison. Edison might have had like the whole light bulb thing going on. You know, he might have had that going on. But if it wasn't for Lewis Latimer, a black inventor, a black person who made patents and stuff, you wouldn't have these little lights either. So inside of this is a little filament. If you look at a light bulb and you see like the little, how can I say this? It has little lights that you can see. Let me see. Can y'all see this? Okay, you probably cannot see this, but you see like the little wires in there. He invented that part, okay? That's the most important part. Without that part, the light bulb will not last that long. And it will burn out quick too. So yeah, thank God for Lewis Latimer, a African American inventor. Okay, so I'm putting y'all on history too. But back to the World's Fair now. With the World's Fair of 1893, I think 1895. I got to get them dates together. Okay. Like I said, I was inspired until I looked at the history of it. Did you know that those buildings were built and they were completed, and they were for people to come from all over the world to showcase their different technologies at that time? They had different venues you can go to. If you ever been to Las Vegas, y'all ever been to Las Vegas, and you know how when you go to Las Vegas and you're on the strip, and when you're on the strip, you can go to different casinos. They're different themed. That's one of my dreams too. I'm gonna build a bunch of casinos. They don't got to be casinos. They just need to be themed, like themed buildings. Like if you go to like an amusement park, but Vegas, think Vegas. Like when you go to Vegas, they have like an Egyptian themed casino. They got a Italianate casino. They got a Paris, France themed casino. They got a bunch of different type of casinos. Okay, casinos. I mean like casinos. All right, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the World's Fair. So with the World's Fair, they had a bunch of different type of buildings. They had buildings from Germany. They took all of the states, like all of the states at that time. At that time, I don't know how many states there were, but it wasn't 50 like it is now. People always think it's 52, but it's not 52. It's just 50. If you want to include Puerto Rico, that's just a territory. But yeah, I still don't know how Hawaii came a part of it. And I don't know why Hawaii is. That's a long story. That's another story. Okay, so anyway, they had different state houses built at that World's Fair. They got one for South Carolina. They had one for, I can't say they got because they don't have it anymore. All those buildings are gone. The only ones that are left are just like the ones that they preserved, which is like art gallery that they had. The art gallery is still there. The other buildings, tragedy, got burnt down. They were burnt down because a fire happened and destroyed most of everything after the fair had closed. The fair was open for like 6 months, and every 4 years or something, they have it in a different location. So each city is going to try to outdo the next city with the new technology. Like, for example, like they had one for like in France, and I don't know what they was doing for that, but I think they still have World's Fair now, but they probably don't. But anyway, it's for people who invent stuff, can come and show off their crafts and their hobbies, things like that. So that's why I was really inspired. But that's not why we're talking about this. We are talking about this because it was like I was upset because I did my research that they were excluding people of color. Yes, people of color were not allowed to attend the World's Fair of 1895 Chicago. They were not allowed. Only 2 exceptions. One exception was Frederick Douglass. He was an abolitionist and a freed slave. He was an abolitionist. And the next one was Ida B. Wells. Now, Ida B. Wells was a black woman. She was also a writer. I believe she was a teacher too. But she was sitting in a trolley car, minding her business. And at that time, the trolley cars were segregated. So they made her move, or tried to forcibly make her move, from the women's section to go to the smoking section. Okay. Ida B. Wells was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not moving. I'm staying right here. Think Rosa Parks, but in the 1800s. Okay. Just, think about like that. You know how much of a difference that is. So she was like, I'm not moving. So this guy who is a conductor forcibly tries to push her and move her. So she doesn't like that. She puts up a fight or a struggle. I believe she is arrested, but she is, at the end of the day, freed. But she sued them and she won. She won because she was in the right place where she was supposed to be at. They tried to forcibly remove her. She was like, no, y'all not doing this. I'm not going to no smoking area. I'm tired of people smoking cigarettes. My clothes smell like cigarettes and they stink. I'm tired of that. No, I need to sit down. I need to be in this section. And it's a lot of people up over here and I don't want to go back there. Probably didn't feel safe. But yeah, that's the story of that. But back to the World's Fair, they did not allow people of color to attend. Those are the only two exceptions. Mr. Frederick Douglass and Ida B. Wells, okay? Ida B. Wells was more like timid, very shy when it came to, I guess, being there. She didn't like what she was seeing, as her and Frederick Douglass was the only people of color there, the only black people there. Frederick Douglass was more open to it. He was more like, don't be afraid of these people. People of, like, a lot of white people were coming up to Frederick Douglass. Can I have your autograph? Can I get to know you? And can you tell me this? Can you tell me that? Frederick Douglass walked in what he walked in, okay? He was definitely that guy, all right? Do your research on him. He was definitely that guy. People appreciated what he had to say. People appreciated what he did. Both of them, Ida B. Wells as well. So once I found out the history of that, I was like, World's Fair is definitely not, what I'm saying, I'm not my inspiration no more. How are you going to be like that? How are you going to do that to people? Like, why would you do that to somebody? Why would you not allow people to attend? And that makes me think, because I had a similar case at the State Fair of South Carolina recently, right? I was, how can I say this? You guys see my homes. You see them. They're pretty much the same as usual. I don't do no new styles or anything because I don't have no more room. But I was discriminated against, yes, by the superintendent over the Moore building. And the general manager was okay with all of that. And I wasn't okay with that. So let's just say, I don't mean to speak too much, but I'm going to say it like this. What am I going to say? Let's just say pro se, okay? Represent yourself in court, take them to court, and get that money. That's it. Boom. Square plan. Done. All right? But moving on. All right, so this is this. We're going to make more money, but I'm going to show you how to do entrepreneurial stuff. And I know I talk a lot. That was a lot. There's a lot to listen to, right? But I'm glad I put y'all up on game and stuff, too. So, all right, house. All right, house. Just, ooh, don't fall. You know what? We know where to put you at? Hold on, y'all. Just hold on.